change things a little. Okay? This is it. No more introductions. Sharon.
The first thing I would like to do is to thank you, Alexander, for allowing us to come here. This is a real honor for us because we have known that we were going to be coming to your country, and we wanted very much to speak with people at all levels, particularly youth. And in our country, we also like to speak with our youth because we feel like that you are the future for us. Because our ages, somehow or another, have not been able to do the right things by our populations, or at least ours. And we leave that to you to think about whatever is going on here. But nonetheless, we are really, really interested in getting a sense of who you are, what your sense of the future is, how we, even in the older generation of mine, how we can work with you to create a safer and healthier and a better world. And so far, we're just starting on this trip. We're here in Moscow. Next, we go to Volgograd. We will be seeing some young people there. And then after that, Ekaterinburg, girls. And then we will leave through St. Petersburg. So hopefully during this time, we will have an opportunity to speak with others of your age group. But also, I want to acknowledge Galina Suzlova, who's back in the back. We have known, Galina is Russian, and we have known each other for 32 years. Is that correct? Yes? When I met her, she was your age. And now we're both a little older. And then our delegation comes from 15 different states in the United States. Most of us did not know each other when we met at the airport. But one thing we knew for sure, we're all interested in trying to find ways to rebuild the relationship between our two countries.
I'm delighted to be here because I like Sharon's idea. We don't want to be so stupid as to have another world war. We want to have peace because we know each other. Thank you.
My name is Howard Meddy. I'm a professor of chemistry from Youngstown, Ohio, midway between Pittsburgh and Cleveland. I just retired. I worked almost 50 years doing that job and started in the Cold War and was delighted when Russia and America could come together after the Cold War with the collapse of the Berlin Wall. And it was an opportunity for our two countries to finally come together after being at sword point to each other for probably 50 years. And now we're going apart from each other again, and it's very disturbing to us to see the opportunity slip away. And we would like to do what we can do to try and put things together to learn more about why this happened, because we don't want to see it happen again. We've got to put it back together somehow with your help. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to hear someone talk about what the problem is between the United States and Russia right now.
Yeah.
What do you perceive that problem to be? You've alluded to it, assuming as if people would know what you're talking about, but a lot of people who are going to be listening to this program don't know what you're talking about. What is the problem?
Well, I think that everybody will have different answer to that, but my first reaction to this question is always like that there is no such thing like America or Russia. Those are, well, names of very, very complicated realities. So there are some political elites, there are some, different subcultures inside these countries. There are different generations, etc. They may have different problems, but they may have different integrations and connections, etc. So, well, definitely we have some political problems now. I can see no cultural problems. All our students use iPhones and they listen not to Russian folk music at all. And that's it, because music, for instance, brings values, and our values becomes, I think, more and more similar. And you can see a lot of, go to a bookstore somewhere here in Renepo, by the way. We have bookstores in our buildings. You will find a lot of writers translated from all over the world, and some recent writers, etc. So I don't think we have a lot of cultural collections now, but some, well, I think that actually the relations are complicated starting with the maybe 18th century. It's not a new thing, and they are complicated because we're similar. So I wouldn't be so optimistic about similarities. You know, it's Russians are always dreaming about having country house and a car. Doesn't look like a part of American dream? It is. So we're quite similar. So when we go to China, I feel like on different planet. When I go to America, not at all. So I think the relations are so complicated sometimes because we're similar. But it's not Russia and America. It's a metaphors. You know, we're very complicated systems, and so having conflicts on one side, we have a lot of common things on the other side, etc. So that's my attempt not to answer. So students, what do you think? Do you have any feelings of conflicts or I don't know, Cold War-like feeling?
So I would start with the political conflict, which is the most obvious. Like, it's on the top. We have the clash over Ukraine, over Crimea, and over many other topics like Georgia. So it's the most obvious and probably the one we cannot directly make an impact on. So, but another problem within the United States and Russia is misperception that people have of each other. I can honestly say that in the Russian society, in the Russian youth society, there is some, because I once had a talk with my friends and they gave a really interesting answer to me why they don't like the United States, because they want to conquer the world. So, and it really exists. So I asked them, why did they think so? Well, we had it on the TV, just looking their like political affairs with other countries. Then I went to the United States and I found out they don't want to conquer. So I have a lot of American friends who don't want to conquer the world, which is quite strange. According to our media, they do. So I think this problem is possible to overcome because we can just bring other students and just show that there is no aggression between the two countries. I mean, between the people, between the living people, the human beings. So I think the problem of misperception is really serious, and that's where it all starts.
What do you think, Ekaterina?
Yeah. A lot of work and now. Yeah. Sorry. So about the conflict. Yeah, I totally agree with Evgeny about the differences between two sides. That we have a lot of in common in cultural things, in cultural diversity. So yeah, I was a part of the group that visited Tufts University during this forum in Boston. So it actually was my first time in America, and it was quite a shock for me to see how much similar Boston to my hometown. So actually I'm from Moscow. So yes, maybe I had a lot of stereotypes about America, because I expected some kind of the main street of New York from some kind of pictures, and here's Boston. It's totally perfect city for me. Yeah, I really liked it, and it was quite different from what I expected. But these similarities put me in position of not some kind of visitor, but some kind of just a person, who was a part of it. part of the city, as maybe not as a citizen, but as a person who understands everyone who is walking around, or just to, I don't know, talking in the cafes or bars. So political situation is quite different, because my personal opinion about all of this, that a lot of people just can't see all parts of this situation at all. So maybe they have some other questions, some other disagreements, and we just don't see them. Maybe they are part of a much bigger part of this conflict that everyone can expect. So it's just my personal opinion. And as a study abroad coordinator, it's really something that I wouldn't want to have influence on our relationship between I don't know, between universities, between just people. Political conflict is complicated. Yeah. And actually, on this case, I would like to understand the opinion of people who are in charge of all of this, and maybe make my own opinion and give our students and professors opportunity to make their own opinion after they hear all of opinions from different sides of this conflict. So, yeah.
So what's the problem? Are you saying there is none?
We have one political science specialist, so here's the final.
Okay, we have someone coming up to the plate here. Okay.
Only a few words.
But
because
yeah.
Professor спросили, if you asked, my vision for this is that we are not separating the politics and my vision on this issue is that we are not separating the politics and politician and the degree, the education system. It's two completely different parts of the system. When we're talking about cultural exchange, degree education exchange, it means that we give an opportunity for new generation, for new students to see, to talk each other and to walk through this issue by just not war solutions, but by communication. If we are talking about politics and politician, it's their own decision and it's the government decision what to do. But on our level at Presidential Academy, we're trying to maybe not separate, but to distance from it, because our first way is to educate people, not to give them politician view, but to give them knowledge about how the world works, how the management works, how marketing works. So if we're talking about cultural exchange program, it's good, perfect way to see another country, to understand the cultural maybe efforts. And I think that we should not mention politics here, because it's is my only opinion, it spoils a lot. Because when we are mentioning politicians and politics, it always gives us a feeling that we were, I don't know, like fighting each other. But in this room, we are talking about peace. So, for example, I have a business card of Women International League for Peace and Freedom. I suppose the peace and freedom is a good, maybe logo for this meeting. That was my opinion.
Well, let me share my own experience. 22 years ago, I went to the United States for the first time in my life. And I had a wonderful opportunity to stay with an American family for a week. It completely changed my mind. It completely changed my understanding of the United States. It's kind of a very simple thing. A young person goes and stays for a few days with an American family. He goes to eat in a local restaurant. He goes to movies, he has, well, any kind of very simple things. But it really helps to understand how you guys are similar, how you think, what you think about us, what we think about you. It can be a tremendous thing for any of our Russian students. And the other thing, it's true, there is a lot of propaganda about the United States willing to conquer Russia, to attack Russia and things like that. And I'm always telling to my students, it's stupid, don't believe it. And for them not to believe it, I suggest you should go to Manhattan. You should visit New York for 2 days and walk along Manhattan and see this wonderful industrial power and understand that Americans don't want a war. They want to build more yeah, but they want to live peacefully, do the things they do, and they don't want to have a war with Russia. So a simple thing like a visit to New York for a few days can change people completely. So, well, of course they cost money, but those are not so huge monies like host a Russian person for a few days and visit with him Manhattan. Very simple things. But if you can help us to an extent, to a few students of ours, it can help those few students, and through them it will continue. Yeah.
Thank you. And one more.
Yes.
Yeah, well, a few things, but a few things do have to be said. There are a lot of tensions, arising out of the Ukraine crisis between Russia and the United States.
That's true.
Now, it's not a situation of parity. It's not 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. Russia simply has no military bases close to the United States, has no military alliances that are threatening the United States. Russia is not posing a threat to the United States. The problem, objectively, is very much the other way around. And that has to be dealt with. Won't do any good to ignore it. The world, that's not even the only hotspot, the only danger of war in the world. Look at the Middle East. Seems like there's a new war every month. The latest is, Saudis invading Yemen, but, instability is, it has a way of spreading uncontrollably. All of a sudden, all kinds of tensions are surfacing in the South China Sea over, navigational access and factors like that. And, this has to be made clear to people that, in the United States, certainly, the mainstream media does nothing to clarify these situations to the people. And so we've got, there are alternate news sources that are widespread and becoming more and more effective. So, I would, we have, I would say, quite an active alternate internet presence coming from the United States and coming from Canada also. And, Russia, one thing I always tell people in the United States around Ukraine, I always say, look, there's some good Russian English language internet services. You don't have to believe anybody. Just look at both sides. When you look at both sides, it doesn't mean, you don't start from the assumption that anybody is telling the truth or that anybody is lying. The whole point is to, sort that out. So I think it's those kinds of messages. I also, here's a personal political opinion I want to throw in here, but I think we see this phenomenon in the United States of the demonization of President Putin. I think that's very dangerous. I mean, you think of the consequences that came from the demonization of Saddam Hussein. Very dangerous thing to say. But, to me, being something of a student of history, if you look at the period before World War II, and you try to find any major figure who Putin resembles, it's Franklin Roosevelt. He was a very skillful, very deft politician, going through a very difficult, very complicated, very dangerous period. And that kind of connects with people. I hope to cut through all the nonsense. So we have to think, how are we going to find ways that are going to make, a whole lot more sense than, what is, what we're seeing out there, on CNN and, WNBC and so forth. What can we do at a people level, people-to-people level?
With this particular
Thank you.
situation?
Yes.
This is our challenge to do. It's not theirs. Tell me, do you trust Western Ukraine, Kiev? Do you trust their newspapers?
No, not at all.
Okay, and do you trust the Donbass newspapers?
No, not at all.
And do you trust Russian TV?
No. Frankly speaking, maybe 8 or 9 years I'm not watching TV at all.
But what about print media?
So if I want to get some information, I search it in US media, mass media, Russian, Ukrainian, and also I have a lot of friends which are working in public policy in Ukraine. So I used to track them, but sometimes you never know where is a reality, where is objective. So they can tell me what they saw, but through their mind and their eyes. So we still live in different countries. So maybe I have another background, maybe they have more experience in public policy. So that's why I used to track them, but I'm not take their information as truth, as totally truth, because for now nobody knows where is this line between truth and real.
Do you all take any of, or do you look at any of the news services here in Russia that are being done by Americans? For
No.
instance, Russia and Saturn.
No,
You don't do that, so you don't trust that either.
like I'm not,
It's not so well known. It's not so well
it's
known.
not so well known, and also if I really need something, I'll search it. But usually I try not to be involved in all of these problems in society. It's my position.
You have to do your work as a student too.
Well, we have some more Russian students who didn't say anything about how they see their future. Ladies, девушки, скажите, как вы видите свое будущее?
So my idea is simple.
A little louder, please.
Okay, my idea is simple, and I want to see the future in which I can use all my opportunities in to see where I want to see, to travel in country which I want to travel, and I think now it's a huge problem for students to do what they really want without any help. And in education, actually, we have a lot of problem because my mother is a teacher, and she sees that many pupils doesn't know what they actually want, and I want to see the future where young people will have opportunity to see more, to learn more. So
It's really simple. You're right. It's really simple.
Thank you. Anybody else on our side, how you see your future? The younger ones.
Have you noticed that answering this question about the future, our students mainly use the verb I see, the verb see, they see. The American students usually answering similar question use the word do. They describe what they will do in the future, not what they will see in the future. That's very important psychological and cultural difference. And I think what we can do, a bit older than students, what we can help them is to do something together. So arrange the situations, the infrastructure maybe, when they can do something together. And actually, well, we can dream about peace or some big ideas, but people are dreaming about, human beings are dreaming about peace, since I think the written history started. But they could never achieve that for longer periods of time. And so we can be sure that there will be some war conflicts. But what we can do, I think, three type of things. Students could help together each other, or maybe a third part, solving some particular problems. If somebody wants to see New York but do not have enough money, somebody should help with that. If some disabled people live in the community, they could do something together, and that is where American society is very, very strong. And we are getting surely better in that, but there is a lot of things to learn here, and to learn from our partners in America for sure. So helping, and The second thing that we can surely help students with is to do something together in intellectual field, some kind of research together. It may lead to solving problems, may not, but to do something together intellectually. It's easy, it's not so expensive usually, and we can start it right now. And the third thing that usually, well, historically always worked, is to do something together in the field of creative arts. To write something together, to sing together, to make some drama together. It's also not very expensive, and people usually understand each other. Doesn't matter what is their background, or in opposite, if their background is different, it makes it even more thrilling. So those are usually three things that worked in history. Politicians never could achieve any success in solving that. Academics, yes, maybe, but without things or something to do together, you know. Speaking about big ideas and great values is very important, but I don't think we'll find anything new. So nobody will jump and say, I want some war to be started right now. No, everybody will speak about peace on earth, but there are a lot of people who will kill for the peace on earth. So it's not a decision, you know. So I think what we can help with, and those three things, you know, and just some social projects or something like that, some scientific, intellectual thing, and some art performance. And again, I think we have a lot of resources for partnerships in all three spheres. The third one, I think maybe not the strongest on the Russian side, with these volunteer programs, the social projects. Again, we're getting better, but still not very good, I think. And that is a part of civil society, etc. But in research field, in arts, I think we can do something together just right now, I think. That's my opinion. Thank you again for being here. So it's so nice to hear people with similar values. Yeah.
Yes.
I think one of the things that we talk about is this sense of powerlessness in changing politicians' behavior, and that we can't affect that effectively. And really the only way to do that, and it's what you spoke about earlier, is having the citizenry care about each other. And the only way that happens is this getting people together. And as the politicians are influenced by the fact that we love Russians, and we have relationships with Russians, and they matter to us. They're not this place on a map that we don't understand very well. That as our politicians understand that, then their discussion changes a bit. And that's really the only thing that will change, that we have the power to change. There are people and forces that we don't have the power to change, and many of those are, quite frankly, evil things, and they're people who crave power and lives don't matter to them. But once we can express in a really clear and powerful way that your lives matter to us, and that our politicians understand that that is profound. And one of the ways that happens, I think one of the reasons you have so many students from BYU is I bet most of them have lived here before. And
That's
so
right. That's
they come to love the country, and they want to study. And so if you want someone to study Russian, or they need to come here. And even if it's for a week or a couple of weeks, that's the only thing that we, me as a little person, have the power to control, is come to my home, and we'll come to your home, and that will be the only thing, I think, that influences it.
And I would like